Okay, so I've written and collected all my thoughts over the last couple weeks. It's been a lot to unpack and process. But here we go. This is going to be called Teach Goths Plur because honestly, as of lately, they are truly lacking acceptance and diversity. It seems like a very gate-kept space, which is okay to some degree, but you shouldn't be shitting on other people's lifestyles. This all started about a month and a half ago. We walked in the Goth Bats fashion show. For several weeks, we interacted with Kat Watson. She leads that organization. Um, Even had her out to Frankie J's one night to hang with us. Um, we were mutually intrigued by each other. That's something that I know is a fact. The issue I think we ran into is we're too much alike with different perspectives, and we just butted heads eventually. Everything seemed cool and harmless for the past 3 years. We have supported these bat events and all the goth events at Cobra and East Room. Um, we've held countless parties and recharge nights on our own dime for this group. Some distanced themselves a little after a year ago. Our ex best friend Jake had 4 or 5 of the people from that scene to our party. All that was fine that night, but later at Cobra, they were talking about messed up things we witnessed in college. My husband mentioned that a girl named Tara would get blackout drunk and bring college boys back to her dorm for sex when he was in college. She was fully aware of what was happening because she would tell people about it and do it again. This has been confirmed by multiple sources who went to WKU that are mutual friends of ours, that I've went and asked myself about this, and some of them, yeah, are female who've also confirmed this. Um, in no way, shape, or form was the girl unaware. We call this a rape kink. Telling this story caused the Goths to label us as rape apologists simply for telling the story in a casual tone and not like a scared or like empathetic or whatever tone. Just because, I mean, I don't know, we just thought it was kind of funny that she was whoring herself out. Like, gay men do it all the time and it's never a problem. But I guess it's different when it's woman to have a kink like that. So Jake stayed friends with us for a while. The group gave him an ultimatum to leave us or lose them. We didn't care what he did or who he was friends with. So he chose us because we didn't make him choose. He was still angry that we defended ourselves against the slander in kind of an aggressive way. Biggest factor is age here. 20 somethings think confrontation is too aggressive and will weaponize your self defense against you even after they sit and gossip about you in a group chat, when all you ever did for them was provide party space for them and accept them. We found it betraying. One person stayed pretty cordial, Kat Gom. This is Kat Watson's sidekick. We later learned that she hates ravers because she dated one. And this is not surprising considering most goths kind of hate ravers historically. A year later, Kat Gum came back around on us, started to show signs of more accepting us again. They wanted us in our fashion show at a gay bar canvas because we're LGBTQ representation. And it sort of gave them more points in that space because this was a mostly heterosexual female show in a more male dominated gay and queer space and trans space, but most of the participants were cis white heterosexual females. So having gay men and drag of 2 drag queens in the show helps make them more accepted in that environment. um I spent roughly 40 hours of hands-on labor making the outfit for the show. Some of you've seen it. It was a tie-dye pentagram t-shirt. I did a UV reactive tie-dye scarf, an ombre mohawk I glued to my spiked bald head. What else did I do? I did makeup that took like 4 hours that day. Woke up early before the show. I did cut and sew patches on bleach, reverse bleach tie-dye shirts, cut them out and sewed them to pants. I used my own sublimated printed tie-dye shoes, and I made a Furby face fur bag, or clutch. And I had people coming up to me after the show saying, "Oh, that was one of my favorite looks." And I mean, we honestly slayed that, and we put every ounce of love and effort we had into their show for their show. We had perfectly good intentions at that point. I mean, we thought Kat was great and didn't see a problem with her or anything like that. Um, Later, when we got in a fight, Kat Watson posted, "We were weirdos she barely knew," to rile up the other feminist goths that she was friends with and push a narrative that we were stalking or obsessed, with her. She was kind of like labeling us as harassers and not peers who had supported her events for so long. A lot of gaslighting in order to get extra warriors on her side. One night we were at Canvas and we were talking about toxicity and gay culture to her. So this is like the whole fight I'm describing. To her and her partner, Matt Carlu. It came up that we were, and I am polyamorous, that I have boundaries when I'm hooking up with someone I really like, and I ask my close friends not to immediately pounce on them and fuck them, which honestly I thought is a pretty reasonable boundary. Not saying my friends could never fuck my fuck buds, like, and honestly, most of the time I encourage that, but sometimes I catch feelings for somebody, and even though I'm married, like, I still have, like, boundaries with just, like, give me time and space to enjoy my hookups without interference, because when people do interfere, I sometimes like that person I'm hooking up with stops seeing me and starts seeing them, and I'm not done with them yet. And if that's a good friend of yours, I just think that's kind of predatory. Anyway, Kat's partner said, "That's just a rule, not a boundary." And Kat, like, instantly agreed with him. Pretty much everything we had to say in that conversation about our lifestyle was met with this contrariism and criticism instead of this acceptance. And this was just kind of upsetting because all we had just walked in their fashion show and spent so much time and effort doing things for them. So we had pretty much hyped them up to everybody we knew and told everybody about the Goth Bats and all their events and said how great it was. Um, so we talked about taking psychedelics for introspective purposes in this conversation, in relation to after they judged us, because, it kind of felt like they hadn't done some like of this introspective work. But they said something along the lines of not knowing our identity because we take psychedelics. The irony was they were wearing these goth uniforms, and I've been told that Kat Watson's only been a goth since like 2019. So that's like 5 years. You can go back and see pictures of me from when I was 14 years old in 2004, and I already had 1 inch earplugs, which they're sewn up now, and I'm restretching them. And by 18, I had like my entire face gauged out, was heavily modified, wearing trip pants, but I wasn't just wearing trip pants. I was like mixing, matching like all these different genres and styles. And I was the lead singer of a metal band and piercing all the people in my hometown. Like, being an entrepreneur, I like was, championed for knowing who I was, like, by all my friends. They were like, "Wow, you're like so young and you already have like your identity figured out. Like, you already know you're gay or bisexual, and that you're just not ashamed of any of it, and you're very hypersexual." So like, I've just known who I am way before drugs or social media or anything like that. Like, and they are telling me I don't know who I am, and they know who they are when they've only been wearing this goth uniform for like 5 years. Has been doing it a little bit longer, but Kat, I know, like, I look back on her Facebook and it started in like 2019. And then in the same breath, they're claiming they're anti-establishment, feminist, and all the anarchists. Yet, how are you going to tell us what ways we should operate in life? Even funnier was when Min talked to Matt, Kat would tense up in jealousy, and that's total hypocrisy because they just told me that I can't have rules or boundaries in my relationship. So first, after like a week after the show, or like 2 weeks maybe, I saw Matt on the Scruff app. And I was like, that was really condescending what you all said, because the night of that argument at Canvas, they just cut us short after being insulting to us, and we weren't really done talking to them. they just kept saying like, this isn't the time or place. It's like, okay, so what is the time or place? Because when I messaged them, they got so upset. It's like, apparently there's no time or place to have discussions or dialogues with these people. They just don't do with conflict very well, which I can respect, but I mean, don't insult people then, and you won't have to deal with conflict. Um, so what else? I told him kind of like about how I've known who I was since I was 14 and how I was modified. I like showed pictures and proof, and his response was like more condescending shit. It was like, "Are you okay?" And then I had this like hee 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 laughing cat emoji like after it. All his responses had that laughing cat emoji, like he wasn't even taking my pain or issue with any of this seriously. Um, and I was telling him, hey, like if you drink alcohol or can associate with a known meth addict, because there was one that they do associate with, which like I have no problem with this guy, and I wish that he didn't get pulled into the drama. I honestly should have never mentioned his name. And to that, I'm sorry. I'm not even going to mention, but you know who you are if you do see this. But seriously though, there is no room to talk and judge us for psychedelics if you're hanging out and accepting meth addicts, and like, which I accept some too because I don't judge anybody, but like then don't judge me for doing psychedelics, plain and simple. Um, so then Kat Watson messages me to tell me that I was saying mean things to Matt. Again, they're perceiving this confrontation and consequences for their shitty insults as mean or aggressive. It's kind of classic narcissism, which like we're like self-aware narcissists in the sense that we use it for like all our art and stuff around the house, and we like to walk into a club and be seen and like wear cool outfits. Like that's positive in my opinion, but like to not be aware that you're like causing people pain and then you know turning it around on them, that's narcissism in a bad way. So Kat basically said in that message, like after I told her why I was upset, she said, I will address these wild accusations, which kind of already told me that there would be no resolution here, and I wasn't ready to be made a joke like Matt did. So I knew I was just going to be told I was wrong and potentially further insulted. So she'd already told a good friend that we couldn't go to their going away party at the cabin they had rented. And our friend at the time, Jake, basically reinforced that behind our back. I blocked Kat, and because I just knew that I wasn't going to get a resolution out of this with her, it was just going to cause a further fight. Um, and I was kind of ready to just like ignore them and move on at that point. Like, I think my one mistake is that I messaged their third partner Darius too after I saw he blocked me, because I was like, we've always been cool and like never had an issue, and you just blocked me out of the blue because of the association with them. Um, I also confronted Jake and several others, but I was told by Jake I was forbidden to message other goths in the group chats he was in, but they were trash talking us already because they had heard through the grapevine what was going on with Kat Watson. And this is a repeat of again what they did like the year earlier whenever they had an issue with something we said. They don't like ever address us in person. They like resort to this like group chat and just talk all this bad stuff and make all these memes about us, and it's like so insulting when you've put your best foot forward and try to provide safe space for them, and they're so quick to like turn around and judge and just like walk away and digitally murder you. And a big part of this is because we were never goths. Like if we were goths like from the get-go, like I was one in high school, but if like we were one now, there would be like a lot more effort to keep us around. um but I messaged these other goths even though he told us not to, because they were trash talking us and I needed closure. I needed to know what was going on. And I was tired of the lies and being mocked by lowlives, honestly. He stopped being our friend right there, but this quick betrayal was a confirmation he was looking for an out. Mind you, we were his emotional outlets and safe space. We home cooked him meals every week. He would sleep here 4 nights a week. Escaped from his family and roommates for almost 4 years. We paid countless bar tabs for Jake, his covers, and brought him to his first two music festivals where he flourished. And you can still see some of these pictures on his profile. Like they're some of his happiest, like most prized pictures. Like he loves them. And I'm sorry, but those wouldn't have happened had we never came into his life. Like we introduced him to those experiences and made sure and made space and introduced him to our friends. And my friends have never been nasty to him. They've always accepted him. So I just think it's so unfair that he never goes to bat for us with his friends. He always just like reinforces that we're the problem, and it just feels like unappreciative. Um, we uplifted Jake's crafts and gave him camaraderie and advice like hundreds and hundreds of times. Like, and there's been so many problematic things he said before behind a closed door with us, and we never judged him. I mean, his humor is not PC at all, but he puts this like image out there that he's PC and holier than thou because he doesn't want to be attacked by this group of goths. Like, they're so afraid of social murder that and being, bullied by their own friends, they won't like speak or how they feel or make an inappropriate joke. This loss hurt a lot. He claimed he couldn't have peace with us because we challenged the shitty people in his life. He always complained about, but we wanted to protect or he wanted to protect his image with them. I kind of already said that. What I care the most about is doing what feels right. Anywho, I noticed this is going back to Kat and Matt. Okay, kind of jumping around here. Their third, Darius, they're in a polyamorous relationship. Had unfriended me, like I said. He's a lot more mutable compared to the other two of them. And I was really pissed off he blocked me because we had a perfectly good relationship before that and nothing wrong with each other. But I was like, yeah, so like, if you cut that mohawk, they wouldn't even see you, which I honestly think is true because I feel like their relationship is somewhat transactional. I feel like Kat dates them because they're gay men. It gives her queer points in the gay space, and then they date her because she's head bitch goth at Cobra, and it gives them more like leeway in the goth scene. So it just feels transactional to me. Especially them saying that they don't have any rules or boundaries in their relationship. Like, if you're gonna say that, like, and then I don't know, it just something doesn't feel right about it personally to me. Like, I'm in a three-way relationship, but I spent 5 years alone with Vino, my third, domestically before I moved here and got married to Jordan, and spent a year domestically with Jordan before the three of us kind of got back together and started seeing each other. It's like takes a lot of work to get to that point where there's like enough trust, and there does have to be some rules and boundaries and limitations for like a poly relationship to like really exist. Like, if you haven't done that work, you really haven't unpacked your relationship. And I mean, I just think that it's probably headed for failure at some point. That's none of my business. Like, they can do whatever they want, but like the fact that they judge the way we do things is why I'm saying this. So anyway, I told them, if you cut that mohawk, and you would just basically be plain and they wouldn't even like see you. And your friend does meth, so like, why are your partners judging me for taking psychedelics? So that's when he made a status and tagged my name, Derek Michael Lundgren, and said that I'm not the one. Someone get Derek out of my DMs, blah, 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 blah. And then Jordan said something on their status, and that's when he said he would, punch me in the face if I said any of that in person, which he didn't, because I just told him, hey, at like Canvas, I was like, I told the owners of like different places what you guys are all doing, because they went around trying to get us banned from places. But anyway, I retaliated and made a status telling people what happened. This is probably where I went wrong and could have done it a little bit better, because had I just left it there, I think that we could have gone on and seen them at the bars and just ignored each other and it not been a big deal, and maybe even resolved it. Who knows? But that just infuriated Kat more that I made the status, basically telling people what happened in a nutshell and saying I'm not the one either. And this, of course, was weaponized and used against me. They screenshotted it. Kat Watson then messaged every single mutual friend we had in the community to try to inflame our image. We didn't message every single person about her. Like, we didn't start like kind of having to do that until like we realized she was going around doing this. And I hate doing it because it feels like I'm exhausting people and nobody wants to hear that. She made multiple inflammatory statuses about us. Because of her standing in the community, people believed her. We were banned from Cobra, a bar we've been attending for 4 years. We had to talk to the owners and be like, we've come here and spent a lot of money for 4 years, never bothered anyone. Even the door guy was like, I'm really confused why y'all are banned from here, because like we have always been chill with him, and like how is it that we've been Jake's like wingman the entire 4 years and always seen with him, and then all of a sudden we're like the toxic evil people. Like that's crazy to me. Um, anyway, the owners agreed that this drama was stupid and they unbanned us. We haven't gone back yet just because we're letting things simmer for a while, but we definitely are going to go back. I just want to make sure I have a good friend group first. Um, but the damage has been done. Kat has convinced Taylor Dawson, the guy who sings at SLC and basically runs that scene. It's kind of like a drag queen, like a straight drag queen. Although like everybody said he's gay, so I don't really know. He like won't really just come out of the closet, but he has all these like half naked girls on stage with him, and he just like lip syncs to his own like DJ set basically, and it's like regurgitated like 80s and 90s industrial and new wave. Um, and that's the funny part is like it doesn't really take that much talent to do that. I'm sorry. It's just really you dressing up and lip singing or like sometimes singing over your own shit. Like I play piano and sing and have been writing music. I have hundreds and hundreds of songs. Like if only you made space for actual talent in these spaces and didn't judge people because of like what demographic they are, like you could do so much with this shit, but you just are so set on this gatekeep event, and it just attracts some of the most like apathetic, miserable goths I've ever seen in my life. Like there's some good ones too that I've made friends with over the years, but Jesus Christ, those goths are like judgmental and you can feel it when you walk in. Um, yeah, Taylor Dawson was convinced we're the issue. She convinced all the goth bat girls. A lot of them started unfriending us. A few didn't though, which I thought was interesting because we kind of found out that like other people besides us have had issues with Kat. Um, and let's see what else. So the door people at East Room though, they had also chimed in on Cat Watson's status, and Ulysses Tyler, who works over there, claimed that we're too confrontational. I don't know why. The only reason I can think he maybe said that is because we had that friend Ish who like would say they had multiple personality disorder and then steal from us, or like just be a shitty person and then say that it was one of their other personalities. But like we just full on confronted him about that, and I think that's because they're friends with him and they believe that he's got all these like ailments and disorders, but he's like in perfectly good shape, and a doctor even confirmed that he doesn't have anything um when he tried to go in for disability. So like it's fully just like an identity thing and it's in his head. But Ulysses has never spent time around us, so it's weird that he's making these like assessments already. Heather Brothers, his girlfriend, she's also the door girl. She claimed we are transphobic. She had gathered screenshots of me talking with my controversial trans man friend. He's a celebrity, if you might know him, is Buck Angel, who I have known for from the Body Piercing Convention, Association of Professional Piercers in 2011. So I have known him for 14, 13 years, something like that. I did pro-trans discussions in Chicago to bridge the gap between cis and transgender men with him way before there was division or controversy over him. Mind you, this is a trans man who's been transitioned for 40 years. He knows a little bit more about this than the average person. And the new wave of trans people are kind of just, a lot of them are pushing us in the wrong direction, and there's a lot of trans people who feel this way, and just because we have that opinion doesn't mean we're transphobic. You want to be truly trans acceptive, you have to accept that trans people are not always going to have the same opinion as all the trans people. Like we're all, or they are all vastly different types of people. You can't judge them all as the same thing. For some reason, though, Heather Brothers was screenshotting my interactions with him from over a year ago. At that point and this point, even, like, I had never hung out with her. I maybe handed her my ID at East Room twice, and I still didn't know who she was. Like, it took me a while to figure out who she was, and I had no idea why she was taking screenshots of me a year ago, other than maybe she was in some of those group chats with Jake, and they, like, talk shit about people and build cases against them. Um, again, like I said, I talked to Ulysses in line briefly, very casually about culture. They really didn't know enough to pass judgment about me. I reached out on East Room's Instagram. I messaged both of them. Pretty like calm and nice, and they both, just it completely ignored me and continued like with keeping me from coming to East Room and all that. And this is where I may have messed up too. My third Vino in Chicago donated $5 to her and told her to get a personality uh, on our fibromyalgia thing. But I mean, come on, it's so stupid. That's not like a reason to get banned from a bar. And the thing is, like, you harassed us. This was not unprovoked. Like, you started this by going on somebody's post and putting screenshots of us like all over the place. Like, and then you want to weaponize and vilify us and play victim, like, and tell everyone that you did nothing and you want your name kept out of it when you inserted your name in it. Like, just don't talk trash if you don't want your name to be a part of it. It's that simple. I'm sorry. But now you're banning us from East Room. This just made us more upset. We were ready to stop talking to these people and just go to the goth bars and ignore them altogether. But they were going above and beyond to cancel and isolate us, and still are, honestly. So we had to fight back. Kat has told people I'm obsessed with her, yet everyone I talk to says she tries to bring me up, and the whole friend group brings me up to them to like try to talk about what's happening and get information out of mutuals regularly. So it kind of feels like they might be the obsessed ones here. And this is, again, just more gaslighting on their part. And while goth is her space, gay bars are kind of ours. And she tried to tell us how to exist as a queer men at a gay bar, which I think is fucking offensive as fuck. Like, it's not like I come to the goth bar and tell you how to be goth, like, or how to be a woman. Like, come on now. She's just talking over queer voices, and she thinks that's acceptable, and no one will challenge her because she's fucking Kat Watson, the head of the fucking goth scene. You should never give one person so much power. They become very self-serving, and that's why they need to be in control of everything. And they basically like pretend that all the like events they're creating are for the greater good, but really they're to be in control and to self-serve their own purposes. We were made aware of that we're not the only people she controlled, insulted, or talked over. Her own partner in the Goth Bats, Kat Gom, has issues with her and has been confirmed by multiple sources. Even though that's very telling. Kat Gom had to drop us to look innocent and avoid conflict with Kat Watson, which I understand. But again, this is proof that we're not the only people. We had multiple people message us, men who were like, yeah, she always just like ignores me or like tells me to fuck off or like, who the fuck are you? If I try to like say hi or anything. All this craziness a couple weeks ago before Christmas sent me into a mental breakdown. It was truly hurtful and impactful in the worst ways in my subconscious, yet they were still playing victims. I messaged a burner goth they know about rave stuff who I have never met. I've just seen out. And then she was like, oh, you're that guy. You can fuck right off. Never interacted with me in person to learn who I was. Honestly, these people feel like miserable, crotchety hillbillies with eyeliner. Some of them made the switch to goth less than a year ago. Most judgmental group I've ever met again. And queer exclusionary. A lot of like cis hetero women run the scene, but like you can tell they don't enjoy when like trans and gay men come through, like because it takes the attention off of them. Ravers, on the other hand, have only shown me love. I really feel like we need to teach GOTHS PLUR. From the ashes I will rise and use this to create spaces in art that don't allow controlling judgmental types to succeed. But where all walks of life live in harmony. While I can admit my anger could take a less intense approach and do better, I do stand by all my opinions on this video. I would challenge Kat Watson and all the goths to take some accountability for once for the toxic parts they played in this too. Like, I played a part in it by, making statuses and like calling people out, but so did you, and you haven't stopped yet. So like, take some accountability for bullying and isolating somebody that, would normally be on your side. you know? I will always challenge culture to be inclusive, not exclusive. I want men and women to start talking about the parts they both play in toxic mommy and daddy issues that have been handed down to them for generations, toxic masculinity and toxic feminism that causes issues in our scene. And overall, a convo about respect and consent from both sides. All we ever wanted was respect from Kat and to be heard and listened to, but we were met with such atrocious and condescending behavior. Straight women, stop telling queer men how to be queer. We don't tell you how to be woman. It's not fair. I want to open up a larger net and conversation for multi-genre spaces where gatekeeping judgment don't exist, but learning does. Dialogues over cancel culture. No uneven power dynamics. We need more conversations around how my autism or other people's autism was weaponized against them. Often, neurodiversity and people with autism are gaslit and provoked into a reaction that will marginalize their image and be used against them. Because we're intense people, we feel emotions intensely, and it's very easy to make a case for that we might be the crazy ones in all of this. Because, yeah, we have a mental disorder, but that doesn't mean we're bad people, that we had bad intentions. Maybe our intentions were in the right place from the get go. Um, Imagine if you just said, "Hey, buddy, I see you're not doing well. Do you need help?" Instead of inflaming them. Um, I want to destigmatize mental health too. I judged my pup for being bipolar schizo once and when he went off the rails. Then it happened to me, and I understand what a vulnerable feeling that fucking is. And honestly, we should try to give people help that need it instead of, you know, shitting on them and isolating them. I get that some gatekeeping is necessary to preserve a space, but can we all agree if we're living at various alternative lifestyles, why can't there be a space for all of us to exist in harmony? And I know, burners, Burning Man people, your reception is not better than anybody else's. Leave self indignation at the door. We don't have it right, and neither do you. No one does. Society has failed us altogether. To be a truly open person, you must drop all bias. It's not possible for harmony to exist when you are self serving or believe you are better. Let's do things for a greater cause than ourselves. We won't progress if the spaces we use to escape division stay divided. Dom, subs, ravers, goths, burners, fairies, gays, lesbians, trans, bi, intersex, non binary, fluid, swingers, kinksters, performers, flow artists, DJs, club owners, and club promoters, men, woman, leftist, center, left, right leaning non Trumpers. Stop shitting on each other's right to exist. Music tastes, lifestyles, relationships, vices, opinions. Just accept all of them and let people live and let live. Never imply that your way of living is just better, because it's not. Even I have to do this myself sometimes, because I love being a raver, but it doesn't mean that other people's way of existing is any better or any worse. Like, we all just do it differently. You know, there's no such thing as better reception anywhere. It's just different times, different places on different timelines. I've been all these different things before in different spaces, and I've had fun in all of them, and I've had some wacky moments in them too. You know, honestly, none of them have it right. It's a common theme. However, ravers have been a little bit more accepting of differences. That is somewhere where they have it a little bit better, but I understand that there's things in the rave community that could be worked on, and I can admit that, because there's times where I'm at a show and the midway point and I've been standing there for 4 hours, and someone comes and their group infiltrates and pushes us away from each other, separates me and my husband, and doesn't even feel bad about it, and acts like they own the space you're standing in and they deserve to be there more. It's not all ravers, but there's definitely some. So I understand. Um, this has inspired me to create deeper and open and be more accepting in spaces, but I did want to set the record straight, because otherwise this gossip was um, just going to win. And I really couldn't let that happen, because we have worked so hard with Playhouse and to uplift our image and make connections and show people the best nights of their life in this house, and help them unwind and create art. We've done so many fucking things, you know, where we're just come over and do whatever you want, just express yourself, and that's all we've ever wanted. And for one person to try to infiltrate and shit on that because we asked for a dialogue is just not correct. Like, we don't want anyone canceled or exiled. I think that's the miscommunication. We never wanted Kat removed from her own space or anything like that. Like, we don't care if she stays in it. We just wanted to challenge her way of thinking a little bit. And this went way, way out of, context. There was miscommunications and anger and just too many doms in the same car, basically. Trying to drive the same vehicle just never works. Um, I don't care if you stay Kat's friend or anybody's friend, or if you're goth or anything like that. Like, it's not for me to tell you what to do. But I just wanted to set the record straight for myself. But if you do hear more gossip, and try to take it with a grain of salt and diffuse it. Let's stop the cycle of hate and division. I'll reiterate, we never have beef in rave space, so maybe it's not, us. Maybe it is more so the scene. Just think about that. And on that note, I've met a lot of good goths over the years too, who are incredible artists and have incredible perspectives and acceptance. Um, I would say, like, it's not all, but definitely a majority. Punks, metalheads don't act like this. Like, they're a lot different. Skaters, I would try to like take some notes from them because they kind of exist in the same space as Cobra and East Room, and they overlap with your guys' culture. But just, try to be better people. Like, I am too. In this new year, like, I don't want any more drama, division, or hate or anything like that. But I do believe that it's important to stick up for yourself and tell your story. Because I'm not, imagine if I wasn't this emotionally strong and I let this depress me to the point where I went and committed suicide. Like, you never know. And that can very easily happen. And you really, really never know. So I don't know. I hope this video helps people who've gone through something similar. You know me, I always tell my stories. And, feel free to share this with Kat. I think that it could benefit her from hearing and actually listening. I don't know that she'll actively listen to this without anger or bias, but I would love if she did, and maybe one day we can level the playing field. All right.